Let's see. We are live on Facebook. Just waiting on YouTube and the internet. There's YouTube. Let's see if it came up. Yep. Okay, so there's one. Let me see what this is. All right, bam. And bam. All right, how's it going, everybody? We're live on Facebook and YouTube. We got Marina Barrett in the house, first show of 3 today. And let me just put on our little intro so we can buy some time to share out to the network. All right, see you in a minute. We've never sat down with her before, so we're going to see what this is all about, see what's going on in her end of the apocalypse. Let's see who we got here. We got a few people in the Zoom room. Appreciate everybody showing up in the Zoom room. Let's see here. Delia's in the what does she call herself? Delia from another universe or whatever. I forget what she calls herself. She says that California's closing yet again, so pulling in the energetic side of reconstruction, learning to the new, regardless of that fear, can come about. Root chakra, safety with money. It's still feeling pretty good. Trusting, I feel good, and the universe never fails. Hello, Ellie Gore, as well. Okay, let's get Marina Barrett up here. We'll get to know her in typical Soulspeaks style in front of everybody. Past the point of embarrassment. This is going to be all about the raw, real truth. So I hope she's ready. Let's see. You ready? Oh, wait, you're muted. You want to unmute? There you go.
There we go.
Very good. Good morning. Or I'm sorry, good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening.
Are you in London?
No, the Lake District, which is northern England, just below Scotland.
Oh, just below Scotland, man. That's Outlander country. Outlander.
Yeah. I'm feeling like a warrior today.
Huh? You feel like a warrior?
Yeah.
Good. That's good. Do you feel like Claire or what's his name? I forget his name.
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about. God, how can I forget that? I mean, I watched it like 4 times. 4 times I watched the season.
Highlander?
Yeah. No. Outlander.
Oh, Outlander. I haven't actually watched that.
You haven't watched that. You got to watch it.
I know.
Especially the early seasons. There's a lot of metaphysical messages. There's a powerful divine feminine part in it. Actually, the divine masculine too. Because, he goes down into the trenches of hell, like, many of us have. So what's happening? I don't even know how we got together. I think you reached out. I can't remember. I don't know. All I know is every day I get up and there's like 5 more people unfriend me because they say I haven't, returned their messages. So somehow or another we connected. Yeah. And I'm happy that we did.
Thank you.
Have you, go ahead. What were you going to
I
say?
can explain a bit.
Mhm.
I was watching one of your shows. I've been watching them for months now. And it was about it was 29th of June. And I can't remember the lady's name, so I apologize for that. But she was talking about zero pointing between the reptilians and the Pleiadians.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was watching, I know you shouldn't do this, but I was watching you whilst driving.
That's,
So I had it on.
I know people that do that all
Yeah,
the time. Not me, but watch something.
yeah.
I do it.
And as I was watching that, I actually was zero pointing that as we were speaking. So as
Yeah.
I was watching, feeling the energy of the reptilians and the Pleiadians, and that
Yeah.
shifting from that, then
Yeah.
all of a sudden this shamanic experience I had from there on, literally the symbology, straight away there was this buzzard above my head. Then there was
What was above your head?
a buzzard, which is, I don't know whether you have them in America.
Oh,
So it's
a buzzard.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I got you.
It's the closest we get to an
It's
eagle.
Yeah, a buzzard is I've had some encounters with them, and I researched them. It's all about rebirth,
Yeah,
renewal, rebirth.
yeah. They are really close to my heart. So there was this buzzard, then there was this red deer, then there was this white
Wow.
owl, and then there was
Wow.
double rainbow. This is literally within about 10 minutes.
You cannot make this shift up.
Hello.
You can't. And we get so caught up, and thank you so much for conveying this story. But we get so caught up in the bullshit, in the minutia, in what do I need to post, and how many people, am I being effective? And I'm speaking about myself and everybody. But this is the real stuff. This is the real stuff. It's energy that's of where two or more gather, especially, two or more, like right now we can say however many, 68 people on these platforms right now live, and whoever watches it, because there's no time.
Yeah.
But it's the intention, the imagination, the intuition. So you're watching this thing, you do your part of it, right? You threw in, you went in with both feet, and the next thing you know, you have this shamanic experience, and which that's reverberating into the ethers.
And it was also the music that was playing in the car. So after you'd finished, the music that was playing in the car as this rainbow was through the barricades. And I was entering the town that I live in, Kendal, which is known as the gateway to the lakes. Wow. So I've got this through the barricades as we drive in, and this rainbow, and it was just like, wow.
You can't make it up, man. We had a friend come over. She was on her way to Sedona, very close to us, and to Shasta, and she was coming from the east, and so she came by this weekend, and so the first night she got here, we all went out to the back, and in the back it looks like a forest, looks like a jungle where we live. Even though we're in a small town, we just happen to live next to this dry riverbed. And anyway, so we were out there, and all of a sudden the entire sky starts lighting up, and there was no thunder, it was just lightning, and it was almost 360 degrees. So it was at least 300. And the next thing you know, slowly the weather, the air got really cool, the wind started coming, the rain started coming. And I told him, I said, you know what, we did this. This is us, basically. This is our reflection in what you did. And I think it even goes further than that. I think it's like in your experience as an example, there's a vortex that's created in that moment. Let's just say like right now, like whoever's watching, whoever's energy's here, and then you dip your hand in it, or like a big spoon, and take a big swallow of it and remix it and send it out. And look what happened. It's amazing. It's 1:11 in New York City at the moment, by the way.
Numerology is just like those, just so much of it. I have just, I mean, the things I've got to say, the things that happen in my car, a lot of people on Facebook are so used to me putting numbers up that I've got to the point I don't put them up now, because I literally am having mirroring numbers and twin flame numbers, just literally, it's almost like the clock ticking. It's literally shifting. But the other thing that happened in my car last year that I just so wanted to tell you was that I literally had the experience of going back to the future in my car. So I was driving from Kendal to Lake Windermere, which is near us. And it was almost like I traveled through time, because when I got to Windermere, the clock on my car had changed. So this was last year in 2019. It was in the September 2019. It changed to December the 21st, 2020.
What did your clock?
The clock on my car. And I was like, I'm in the DeLorean.
I'd been like, what the, right? Wow.
And it's happened 3 times now. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with the
December
car.
21st, 2020.
Yeah,
which
2020.
is, I think that's the solstice.
The solstice, yeah.
You know, another thing that date's been coming up too is Morgan, and there was a few others. We're talking about the golden child was conceived. So I guess it would have been March, right? And then the due date is on or about the solstice. And then Alicia Hall Young.
Yeah, I was watching her yesterday.
Yeah, did you see that? Where she's 37 and she's been in, well, she's conceived. They've conceived through this, you know, through the high energy of real sacred sexuality. And that kid's due on the 25th. You know, I mean, there's something to that, you know, and especially with the fact that the quarantine kind of, because I think the virus came out in February, you know. And by the way, I'm tired of like not saying anything about it. I'm just want to tell everybody my opinion. The virus is real, but the pandemic is fake. The pandemic is fake. Okay. The virus is real, just like the flu is real, but the fucking pandemic is fake. I'm sorry if you want to, you know, unfriend me, whatever. But you know, I'm just saying this, enough is enough. Right. But anyway, and what a gift, right? What a gift we created, all of us. So we have, it comes out in February. Then the quarantine starts in early March. And then what happens? Everybody stays home. They got nothing else to do. They start making love. And next thing you know, you got a whole new energy, whole new generation of untainted, clear DNA, real, the new generation of starseeds. Like that energy is going to be so powerful, even before they start talking, even before they start walking, that their physical body is going to be here. It's going to change our lives.
I've had a few friends whose babies have spoken to me in my dreams before they're born.
Wow.
And they've kind of let me know kind of what they're proud of in the work that I do, but also what they're coming in to do. And I've seen ones that haven't made it to full term and them shift a whole community of people.
Explain that. What do you mean by that?
So there was a lady, one of my friends, they've been trying to conceive for years, and they got the news that it might not get to full term. So we were all praying, and we were asked to do the Ho'oponopono. So the whatever part in me has brought up this in you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you.
Yeah.
And this was about it's probably even 8, 9, 10 years ago now. And we were literally all praying for this child and saying this just over and over again, whatever part of me within you is doing this. And literally the love I felt from that child, but the shift it brought in everybody in that community, because we all shifted our aspect.
I got you.
That was in relation. And I said to the mother, it didn't eventually make it to full term, but I said the love that it had for its mother and the work she does now. She does so much work with mothers who have lost children, and how to honor the experience. I know I've had with my twin, I've had conceived, and I was in my 40s, and I could, from the day that it was conceived, I was starting to communicate, and it knew when my daughter walked in the room, it knew who was in the room, it moved to different parts. It was literally the experience of having this child. It didn't go to full term, but in itself, that experience of understanding the child in the womb, you know, I just feel honored, and now still communicate with the energy. Yeah.
Well, you know, did you watch that last show with Z Ming Wang?
There's so many. I'm just like,
I know there is a lot. Well, you know,
yeah.
she's been on a couple times. She's been out in the
Yeah.
community for a long time. She's written a
Yeah.
fantastic book. She's young too. Her and her partner, they're early 20s.
Yeah.
So she had the same thing happen. She, you know, about 10 months ago, 11 months ago, she conceived and immediately started communicating.
Yeah.
To a very, I mean, this is a very, very highly connected individual we're talking about. So the baby was full term, but I guess there was complications, and the baby was here for 9 days. But spoke to her, still speaks to her. It's even more than speaks. I mean, it's with her. You know, like, hey, we got work to do. Get over the grieving. You know, I mean, you know, for anyone that's ever had an out of body experience, you know, or a near death experience where you leave your body, and there's that moment when you're outside of your physical vessel, and you can either see it, or, well, you know, you're in your light body. So you know, you can either see it or feel the difference, or however you want to. You know, I've heard a lot of people say it different ways. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. You know, so I guess third eye I could. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, when I'm listening to people talking about communicating specifically with these young children, whether they come into a prolonged incarnation or they don't, it's almost like that feeling to me is what I get. I get that feeling like you're in an out of body experience, or what it would be like to be in an out of body experience, and you look to your right and there's someone you know, like you're not just doing it on your own. There's actually somebody right next to you. The dimensions, or whatever you want to call it, are bleeding over.
Oh, it's like, I was about to say I was, you know, talking in my head to myself today, and I was going, what am I going to speak to Todd about? If he asks me what I do, I'm like, what am I going to say? Because it's like, I've had a client today who literally, and I'm sure a lot of others get this now, is that as soon as they book and make an appointment, the work starts, and they've shifted before they get here, and you actually end up doing something completely different. And this guy, you know, very well trained himself. I was going to say, I used to be a therapist, but I don't even think I'm that now, if that makes sense. I honestly do not know. I don't have what I am. But
I'm so happy to hear you say that. That's one of the things too. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's one of the things too that I woke up this morning kind of fed up with. Like, not fed up like I'm projecting or acting out, and I'm not saying I'm Jesus or anything. I'm just saying, you know what? I've had enough of that in my field. I'm done with it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's that the shifts are happening so fast now. It's like, I used to, you know, I've learned so many therapies and done so much for many years, but it's like, I don't need to put my hands on people now. I don't really need to see them. I can be driving along in a car, and I can look someone in the eyes and feel the shift. I can feel their eyes shifting as you're driving along. And it's getting to the point of, it was like, this person was trying to pay me for the fact that, you know, he shifted and didn't need to come. And I was like, it didn't feel integrity to receive money when I hadn't, it's the divine source energy coming through me. And we hadn't actually. So in some ways I was like, I'll leave that bit up to you, but it's like, it's this divine source energy of whatever you want to call it, that is coming through and is shifting, and we're just being this clearest channel.
And it's creating some good stress. Okay. I love that you brought this up. So one is, okay, so you could use labels as an example. Somebody said to me the other day, I'm a shaman. And you're a shaman, Todd. I said, everybody's a fucking shaman. Everybody. Okay. Everybody's everything. Right. And these things that got us to a certain point, sometimes what got you to a certain point, or person or modality or whatever, isn't necessarily going to get you to the next one. And so in business, they call it a sacred cow. I used to do consulting. And you go into a business and it'd be like a family business after 20 years, and they're struggling, and you go, you've got this person, that person, and that person, and they're costing you $150,000 a year, and we can't afford it. And they're like, no, we can't let go of them. They have to stay, even if we go out of business. That's a sacred cow. What I'm trying to say is labels is one of them. All right. There's no guru. There's not. Why would you limit yourself? And then the second thing is what you're talking about in terms of how the math has changed. We're now quantum. It's not linear. Linear is a lot of things, right? How do you measure linear? Well, how many likes did you get? How much money did you make? You know what I'm saying? How many votes did you get? But quantum's not that way. So one of the things I think that we're faced with and having to let go, and I'm the same. In fact, I just went through this yesterday, and I'll share it with you. But what I'm trying to say for practitioners, I've talked to so many this year. They're saying, "Hey, my clientele's changed. My modalities are gone to the trash can. I don't even know what you call what I'm doing. When somebody walks in, I just know what to do, and it's never the same way twice. So what do you call that?" And then you had the whole swing from people saying, "I'm going to charge this much because I value myself." And then you had the people saying, "I'm not charging anything because I'm fluffy, love, and light." But somewhere in the middle, there is an equal energy exchange that the universe is run on. And that's what you're talking about. So that creates like a good stress. And I guess where I'm going with this is, number one, it's not going to be like books and lectures, and it's going to be light language or graphics or something new, right? It's just going to be different. And now you're going to have experiences like you're talking about. It's almost like when you know it, it's done.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And then all you have to do is by flow, like you did to the guy driving down the road, you just come together in that cosmic moment, whether you're a million miles apart or standing 2 inches apart, and something happens. The code's picked up, and it's changing our lives drastically.
So much. I mean, when you're talking about this virus, so I believe that I got it in March. Sometimes I want to hesitate on what I actually do at the moment. So I both do therapies and work with trees, particularly trees and the land and everything. But I also have a day job at the moment. And literally all I'm doing is cottage cleaning because it's so well paid for so little stress. But what I'm doing is I'm anchoring in the light. I'm bringing shifts. And it's so humbling in that the people, they don't know all the degrees and all the other stuff that I've got. They just see me as the cleaner. But the anchoring in the light, it's really making me recognize that, like, get over myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's, they've always shown me since I reawoke 9 years ago, there's multiple meanings and multiple purposes in everything. So if you look at like your situation, so one, you are going to new levels of humility.
Mm,
Okay.
totally.
Like get over it kind of thing. And you're doing it in silence. You're
Mm,
also cleaning. So energetically, you're cleaning now. I know Morgan does this. My
yeah.
friend that came by that I was talking about earlier when the storm came, she was doing this for a long time in Sedona, and she would tell me the same thing. When I'm not just in there cleaning,
No,
I'm clearing.
transmuting,
That's right.
shifting.
That's
It's
right.
like so it's holiday cottages. All the owners that I work with now, their lives, the transformation I've seen, um, in some ways, I clearly need to shift my abundance to a certain level because I've shifted theirs. They're all driving around in brand new Range Rovers and just like, yeah. But it's the anchoring in this light. But in that, I am sure that at some point I picked up a tissue from someone who'd had the
Mm,
virus. And at the time I was doing my own shifting, I was crying my eyes out. I touched my face. And it was like afterwards, I was like, oh, shit, I shouldn't have done that. And I just knew. And although I could have probably shifted in that moment, I wasn't in a good place. So
yeah.
I did work on the virus. And in some ways, it was good for me to recognize that it was real because
Yeah.
I was one of these people going, I don't believe in the pandemic. Yeah, there might be a virus, but we're just being hoodwinked.
Mm-hmm.
But in that, when I went to see my mum and I was like, we've all got to be careful, I wasn't using a mask, but I was wearing gloves and I met her outside and I could tell she had it. I could tell by the way she was happening. And so just in having a conversation, I could feel me take on and shift that from her because she's in her 80s. I'm sure I shifted it from my brother as well. And it was like, understanding that now is that wherever I go, whatever I touch, I can tell if it's contaminated with that and
Yeah.
shift it. And so it's brought about an experience of an energy of that thing, that virus. There's a specific energy to that, and being able to pinpoint that now.
Yeah.
I don't know how much other people do this, but I can feel the vibration in everything I touch, everything I pick up.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I don't think
that,
everybody's there yet. I think they can try to be.
that's from I learned
I mean,
the
they can learn to be.
anti technique, which is a massage.
Yeah.
So it was obviously using your hands a lot, and you were using color therapy and sound therapy and gateways. And so feeling that vibration when you're doing massage and massaging light into the body has meant that I can now feel this energy. So when you realize that everything's got, I'm looking at some roses now, and you can feel the vibration of the roses and stuff.
And everything, and this is another thing. I think, God, you're great for topics. Okay, real time topics though. But this is legit. So you got the thing like labels as an example. How we transfer information, whether you're an energy practitioner by a traditional sense or you're a broadcaster. And that's the download I got yesterday, and I'll go back to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But now you're bringing up about. So I remember in 2016, before I left and started this craziness and on the road, I used to live next to a cemetery, and I would go out there every single night. And every single night I would work with light and I'd work with darkness.
Yeah.
Right. Until one night I was walking on the main path of the cemetery and I put my arms out.
Oh, I can feel it now.
And I said to them, I accept equally and honor and love and revere equally all aspects of dark and all aspects of light, as motioning that one's on one side, one's on the other, and I'm the 0 point, whatever. And from that day on, I looked at everything differently. I had been involved with what might be considered cases of possession. I'd seen physical morphine before my eyes. I mean, for extended periods of time. I'd been in hell. I'd had my share, and even in that cemetery, 22-foot reptilians, dark energies, bad smells. But I started to understand that what's the old saying? God doesn't create junk. Like
Yeah.
everything is the same God substance. So I had the same thing happen to me. And I think it was in either February or March. And we were down in Florida. Somebody had gifted us a house at a very low rent. And so the thing broke out. And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I was in the RV in the driveway and I felt it come in. And I thought, now wait a minute, be careful what you think.
Yeah.
I was just like you did. Like the thought coming in is, to me, more powerful than the physical potential of touching my face or whatever. And essentially, I guess they're all one and the same. But I remember going through the same process. I couldn't just kick it out. So I ended up over 2 days looking at it in my body in relation to all my other cells and molecular and all that. And we transformed together.
Yeah.
Right. And that's pretty much the way I look at everything now. Everything is me. We can transform. And so the reason I'm saying this is not about me. I'm saying it because that's another element or a consequence or byproduct of being in a quantum field. And it's changing everything. It's changing the way we look at everything. And I think energetically, we've already achieved this. We just got to work it out in the physical experience now.
And I think this is probably why I've needed to come on and speak to you about this, because this is one of the areas, it's a big area in my life. I seem to be pulled in at times when people are struggling with things that they couldn't otherwise shift. I've shifted poltergeists literally not even being anywhere near them, but just by doing some diamond light work. And, somebody has literally been moving on their bed.
Yes.
The family's scared stiff. I'm not even in the same town as them. I just send and do some energy work and it's gone. And then they're like, I don't know what we were scared about. It's like, but I've got to say, I've been taken on a really deep path in the last 2 years where I've taken on other people's stuff because I love them so much, and I took on this stuff.
Yeah.
And really, that was my wounded healer, and I needed to heal this aspect of me that kept trying to rescue everybody. So that's
a powerful testimony right there. That's you cleaning cottages. That's what we need. That's what we need. Is we need the bigger you've gotten, the greater the opportunity that you have to inject the highest potentials of transformation into the matrix, into the grid that we all share, because that's a hard thing to admit. Was it hard for you to come to a point where because if you look at a wounded healer, even though it's not like conscious, energetically, the wounded healer is probably the greatest example of the old paradigm of codependency, of yogi guru, superiority, inferiority, what is sick, what is healed, and so because the wounded healer is focusing out here at the expense of in here.
Exactly.
And rationalizing and substantiating their existence through the external gratification and compensation that was in the old system. So was that hard for you?
It's like you're looking for validation from outside of being good enough.
Yeah.
I can do this. It's boosting your self-esteem. I am enough. Look at what I can do. Yes, it's been, I'm trying not to swear, but
it's
I am
okay. You can swear. This is
bloody hard.
You can swear. It was freaking hard. But I mean, was it hard? Was it hard for you to go, wait a minute? Like in the United States, in Texas, in the South, they have an old saying: if everybody's telling you that you're drunk, you might want to lay down on the floor, which means and that's what I'm talking about. We in that old paradigm, and we've all been there. I mean, we don't listen. And there's still remnants of that in all of us. Openness is openness. If you're open to every aspect of dark and every aspect of light, there is no boogeyman. There is no evil. Okay. And there's a lot of that being perpetuated right now in the light worker communities. And I'm sorry, it's getting to the point now where maybe something else needs to be said, and it needs to be said as much as the other narratives that are being put out there. Because like you said, it's changing so fast. So this testimony, to use a Southern word, to me is as powerful as anything out there. So again, how did you do that? Did you resist it? Did you fight it?
Yes, because at first, every time I tuned in and I was like, what do I need to do here? And it was like, just love yourself. I was like, okay, I'll just love myself. And I have spent 2 to 3 years now of exploring loving myself, because that is the biggest topic, I think, now on the earth, is how to love yourself.
Yeah.
How to... It sounds like the simplest thing, just love yourself. Okay. But even a year into that, I was going to other people going, well, I just keep being told to love myself. And they were like, well, are you loving yourself?
I can't keep my hands off myself lately. I don't know what's going on. I'm just kidding.
But I was just like, oh, am I still not doing it? What am I doing wrong? What is it that I need to do to love myself? And it took a long time for me to actually be able to... I was able to say I love you, as into myself, but I was struggling to say I love myself. The slight difference in the wording made a difference. And I've had to look at everything. I've had to look at all the patriarchal system. I've had to look at my relationship with my father and my mother, and the fact that one of the things, because this has all been to do with twin flame stuff and what that brought up, but literally realizing that I had thought as a child that literally, even from being born, this is someone did an NLP session on me once when I was learning neuro-linguistic programming, and he basically said, I said, whenever anyone gets mad, I always think it's my fault. And he's like, right, was that before, during, or after birth? And I was like, oh, this is a long time ago. I was like, I can't answer that. And I was like, actually, it was before birth. I was like, in fact, it was 5 minutes before birth. And then I realized my mum was really angry when I was born because my dad wasn't there. He was giving a speech as chairman of the round table. And so he was kind of living it up, having a meal, being looked after, and my mum's giving birth to me.
You came in the front lines of the gender war. So you were like,
exactly.
But that's go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
So she was extremely angry. So so I did some shifting on this, and then I went to speak to her and I said, oh, Mum, I've been having these sessions, And literally at the time I was 35, and she went straight back to that moment, and she was still angry. And that was when I realized how significant it had been. And I had taken on, in that moment, thinking, I'm being born, they're angry, it must be my fault.
Yeah.
And so I've had to do work on, I clearly tried to rescue my mum and dad's energy. Yeah. Because I was thinking it was my fault. So I, as a child, as a baby, being born.
You came out a wounded healer. You came out of a wounded healer. You immediately were. Yeah. But now here you go, and then that's how it works. It always comes full circle. So here you go, and you're saying, and here you are, by the old terminology, a healer, right, or an energy practitioner, whatever, and your resolution or your alignment has been brought forth by what you're describing, which is now focusing on yourself. And I guess that's where I'm going, because I notice, I guess at the end of the day, everything is the same. If you look at anything, it's, you know, you got this side, you got that side, and you got the middle. And it's interesting watching everything and watching myself. So if I go back to yesterday, what we were talking about earlier. So it came in because I was considering everything I'm watching, which is energy practitioners and transitioning into the same kind of situation you're in, and just all the different things that are happening, the mask and the no mask and the projections and the defense and the, you know, and I'm like going, wow, you know? And so I checked in and I was like, okay, what can I do? How can I, how can I be a light on the path? How can Soulji, what do I need to do? Can you help me? And so I heard like, it's time to change. You got to change. You got to elevate. You got to expand. And so then I went into this whole thing about how do I do that? And you have the logical minds over here, and you have the intuitive mind over here, which is just the intuitive mind, just like going, hey, you know, shut up, get out of the way, and just follow the yellow brick road. And the logical mind's going, I need to do something. What can I do? What kind of spin can I put? But, and I'm making a joke about it, but I think this is actually how it works, because the universe is never stagnant. It is a energy that's always moving, and as a result, always expanding, picking up additional frequencies, because its creations have created new creations. So everything's a remix, right? And that's what I'm looking at. So I think this is just a microcosmic example, yours too, of what we're all being faced with, which is two things. One, expansion to a degree that we've never conceived. Yeah. Because it's moving so rapidly and the volume of information and code is so huge. And number two, it's all about you. Yeah. Get your focus off other people. I don't care if you're in a divine union. I don't care if you're living with 100,000 people in a little cottage. It's all about you. And if you're going to point the finger at someone else, okay, for love or blame, your whatever degrees that you've done that, you can reduce or subtract those degrees from your own personal field, because you've given your power up.
It's like knowing something on a mental level and then embodying it. And that's what I am finding, is that all of this stuff I've known for ages. And it's like I've done it the first time round on a mental level. And now I'm doing everything really embodying this. So with the twin aspect, it's really been looking at patriarchy. And it was only when, you know, all the red pill men and all of this stuff, and it was only when I realized that there was a part of me that believed that it was better to be a man than a woman.
Okay.
Because
so are you in a partnership? Okay, we'll come back to that.
Not physical. This is really
no, yeah. I know people like that. I had a feeling, I remembered. Okay, but I don't want to miss something. You said something, one of the most profound things that I've heard. Okay. And I'm serious, which I personally believe the most profound thing that you've ever heard, any of us, should have been in the very recent or present moment, because that's how fast it's moving. Right? Yeah. Yeah. But what you said was it's so from a mental standpoint, you get it. Like we get downloads, we get transmissions, whatever, right? And there's a certain level of mental understanding that you have to embody it. I mean, Absolutely. that's becoming very obvious, because our higher selves are kicking us in the ass if we're not doing it, right? Yeah. Now, what I love about what you said, and I guess I was actually up here with you, because I don't think you literally said it, but what it was is that when you embody this sacred knowledge, this ancient wisdom, whatever you want to call it, you don't have to say a damn thing. And if you are talking about it, you better be real careful. This is me included, everybody, because there's a fine line that we're walking between humility and the old crap that we're releasing ourselves from, which is ego and cockiness and, oh, am I smart? Because it's a very fine line. And the minute you cross into that other side, you're in separation. You know, But I love what you said, because I just realized that when you're embodying it, you don't have to say a word. You just do it, because your energy is what does it.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you were asking about how I've done this shifting over the last 2 years, part of the reason I came on was to talk about trees, and it is the trees that have been helping me. Literally, the trees have been teaching me the flip side of what I wasn't seeing. The trees have shown me exactly what my twin has been feeling, what I couldn't see, what I wasn't embodying, what was resistant to seeing. All are like the 0 pointing, but without, it's like the trees 0 point with me, if that makes sense. But it's literally, they've shown me the flip side when I was thinking, oh, it's all his fault, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly they've gone, and this is the flip side of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, because I go and journey with the trees on a daily basis, I go and walk and I speak to the trees, and I'm with the trees on a daily basis. There's no getting away from this truth of spirit and source talking to me, saying, this is what is actually going on. And now the comfort I get, literally, if I have any doubt in my mind, the trees are there with an answer. And obviously everything is source. So it's not just the trees, it's just that is my
me too.
My focus.
Yeah, me too. Since I woke up 9 years ago, that's what I woke up to. I woke up to a day and a half of trees, and I thought, what am I supposed to do? You know, be a tree hugger? But the trees, I'm with them all the time. And now that we've come to this place, I got a whole community here. Like, I mean, I don't know. What does that mean? I don't know what that means, but I come from the same limb of the tree of life, I guess, or something. But now I want to go back to what you said, because again, this is the fourth point. This is a great show, by the way, not because I'm on it. I'm honored to be part of it, but I mean, this woman is bringing some stuff, real-time intel to the surface. And this is a big one. Even the use of the word patriarchal. I have, and this is just my opinion and my perspective. I have so much respect for you as a woman, as a leader, to be utilizing the word patriarchal as opposed to masculine, because it's time for that shit to go. We were all imprinted by the patriarchal realm that we all designed in our divine and glorious immaculate wisdom. And the war of the sexes is over. It's bullshit.
Absolutely.
The games of the feminine, the games of the masculine do not fly. It's the deepest narcissistic wound in every single one of us, because it's okay for me, but not for her. Right? Or vice versa. So let's get it straight. It's a patriarchal imprint. You can call it the collective ego. You can call it whatever the hell you want to.
Yeah.
But just like everything else, my pain is the same as yours, proportionate to my life experiences. And the same goes for my love. And the same goes for every other experience, including the patriarchal impression it had on me. You know, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, you, by doing that, I believe what's happening, from my opinion, is that you're neutralizing that field. Therefore, you open the channel to receive that information about, let me show you the other side of it.
Yeah. What I've become so aware of is how much the patriarchal system has hurt the men as much as the women. Yeah. And because we both have masculine and feminine within us, and how much the feminism has hurt the men and the women, and that both sides of that there's both these polarities. And so my twin used to be saying, you know, men for the last 70 years have been, you know, dumbed down. It's been like making fun of men. It's like women who can say what they want about men, and men have been made fools of. And it's exactly what.
I always thought exactly that. Do you remember that book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus?
Yeah.
Okay, by John Gray. I always thought it should have been Men Are Stupid and Women Are Crazy. because what you're saying, right? Like men are just stupid. They're like Fred Flintstone, and women, they always had that out. Society, men, whatever, had the out of, oh, they're just crazy.
But what was happening there is it was this pendulum swinging, and the women who used to, in the 50s or 60s, women would have been told, you stay home, make sure the tea's on your table for your man, make sure you're looking nice for him, blah, 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 or whatever, as long as your man's okay. And then it's gone the other way, and it's like the men have been going, well, as long as she's happy, it's fine. And I've been, I've even some people I know really closely heard them putting down men, and it's only when that has been brought to my awareness of how much advertising, how much everything has both sides. Both of us are hurting from this. It's flipped. It's what used to be the women being put down, the men have been put down, and the women are thinking it's okay to do it because it happened to us. But it's two wrongs are not a right.
Yeah, this is it, man. This is the gold. This is the new good book today. So if we can, I'm not going to say if, because anytime somebody says have to, need to, all that stuff, I just run. But when we get to the point that we are utilizing the word or the energy that's behind the word patriarchal, as in or what happened here, okay? Instead of pointing to the other side, to women, to men, when we can do that, when we get to that point, and there's a strong minority because of the energy, because of the way the universe is supporting growth right now, it'll be a paradigm shift. It'll be huge.
Yeah, massive. And I feel I feel that's part of my work, and has been part of the work of me and my twin, because we so polarized and split, because it was like the two extremes were the projection. It wasn't, but it was as well. What we've been doing is healing, this is what a lot of twins are doing, is healing this divide between the masculine and feminine, and bringing us together. But it was only once I realized that I was hating my own inner feminine.
This is it.
So it wasn't him hating my feminine. That was this projection. It was me hating my feminine, because what had happened, and I love my dad, so I really apologize for saying this, but I'm going to say it. When I was 3, 4, 5, he used to lock me in the car and take my brothers to play golf for 3 to 4 hours. And so you wouldn't do it now, but at the time, girls weren't allowed in the clubhouse. So it was really this patriarchy. The girls weren't allowed in the clubhouse. I wasn't really allowed to be there. He was meant to be looking after me. So he kept me in a safe place, put me in the car. But there was no shade. I didn't know how to open the windows. It was too hot. I had no access to toilet or water. And what in my little mind thought, it's better to be like a man. It's not safe to be a woman. It's better to be like a man. And so my dad was like an architect. I became a landscape architect, to please my dad, to do all this sort of thing. And it's taken to now to realize that although I embody the feminine, I do so much of the intuitive work. So my masculine and feminine have always been quite strong, both balanced. But at the same time, I was pushing down the feminine side. And I think so many women have done this. So many women have kept down their feminine. Now that we're coming
well,
through
that's what
this.
I'm saying. Let's go back to what you're saying. The fact is that the men push their feminine down too, to the same to the same extent. We
absolutely
all, it's the truth. And I just went through this, and I talked to James Greenshields about this last night on a late show.
I was watching that one as well.
Now that was fucking mind blowing.
I didn't watch the end of it, so I still
this
got to watch
dude
that.
is like, and like, you know, the crazy thing is I had interviewed him and his wife twice. And so when I took over the scheduling temporarily, I said, I'm going to do them separately. So I did her on Monday and I do him on, you know, or whatever, you know, and it was like a full circle, right? Because I picked up on their relationship and then he confirmed it. And then it was just this weird, like several different points all meeting. But the big part of it was that so what you said, the women suppressed the feminine, the men suppressed the feminine, both as a result of the patriarchal design, which we all created. And now what's happening is the true divine feminine, and that's not just because you have a yoni, right?
I've got to tell you that.
It can be anybody. But all I'm saying is the true divine feminine energy is available. It's full blown now. And it's totally different than anything we've ever seen. And as a result of it, the full blown divine masculine is available.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is what we're playing with. And again, here comes the quantum, and here comes the good stress, which means like everything is being looked at. No stones unturned. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't see you walking on water. And we all got work to do, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It keeps you humble, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I don't know how this is going to be a little bit graphic now, but
it's okay. Should we hide the women and children? I'm kidding.
No, it's the men that might. I don't know.
The men.
No problem. But I
love it.
Literally been on my period now for 26 days in a row. This has never, ever, ever happened to me.
Wow.
And I feel really good. I am trying to watch, you know, I am speaking to the doctors and keeping an eye on it now, but it's that it really feels, so it's to do with I've spoken to a few other women that at times of the equinox, but I literally, it feels like we're purging the old, we're cleansing the feminine, and we're birthing this new reality. So really feels like some of us women are, you know, some are obviously giving birth, and others of us are giving birth in an energetic way. You know, we're being really embodying this. So when we're talking about anchoring this light and bringing it physical now, it literally for me feels so physical right now. I'm having to look at
I get you.
Yeah.
Now tell me about your twin, if you want to talk about it. And
he's very private, so I
okay,
so we're not in union.
So let me ask you. Okay, so is your twin physically incarnated?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was getting at, because I've met people that the twin is not. Okay, and I thought that's what you were alluding to, but no. Whether we do it today, because you don't mind if we run over 10 or 15 minutes, do you?
No, I don't mind at all.
Because we're already at an hour, but we can talk about it whenever you want to. It doesn't have to be today. It could be sometime down the road. We're going to collaborate again, aren't we?
What I would say is that the experience I'm having at the moment is that learning this unconditional love, in some ways it's easier at the moment not in union, because we're not triggering each other physically.
Activating each other.
Activating.
Let's use that word.
But the experiences are, I have never, I don't know how much to say because my daughter might watch this, but literally this is the best sex I've ever had. But
Absolutely. It's not even in the same category. It's not even close to what we came from. And I have a feeling that you lived a very full sex life like I did, prior to. So but there's no comparison. And
No.
and and that's something we should talk about. So
Mm.
so do you want to talk about sacred sexuality? Do you want to expand on that, or is your daughter watching?
She's
No,
old
no.
enough.
How old is she? How old is she?
She's 19, so yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, she's fine.
oh yeah,
But
you're okay.
it is the fact that in some ways, for me, there's this fine line between intruding on your twins' energetic space and their
Yeah.
boundaries,
Yes.
both physically and
Yes.
energetically. And that's where I'm being careful with what I'm saying, is that
Yes.
when his energy comes to me, I can feel it. I can feel him physically in my presence.
No,
Even though,
this is when you're not physically
yeah,
together.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can
Of
feel
course.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Mhm.
this is the sex you're talking about. Are you also including, or does that include physical intimacy as well?
So not physical
Okay,
at the
I got you.
moment. We have been, but
No,
not now.
I got you. Yeah, because
Not at the moment.
we did the same thing.
Yeah,
Soul merging, Harioscamos. We did it for a year and a
yeah,
half before.
yeah. And it is amazing. And there's times when it's really strong and it's really present, and we're
Mhm.
clearly very connected.
Yeah.
And then there's times at the moment where it's less so. I'm kind of missing him.
Yeah.
But then at times it's like the universe just brings us together,
Yeah.
and it's just like,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to respect his space, because
Yeah, you have to do that. I remember a couple of things. I remember when I first got introduced to it, because I didn't know anything about it. I not consciously. I think we all know it, but and I remember it started happening, and I went to visit Morgan consciously, and she was in a classroom, and well, you know, I didn't have too many places I could put myself, so so she was like, "What are you doing?" But I remember the first time she came for 10 weeks, and we were celibate. We slept together, but there wasn't any intercourse. And but before she left, we went to pick up stone crystals for each other, and she gave me this wand. I don't even know what it was, but so we had ceremonies and everything. And so when she left, I would hold that thing at night, and I would astral. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, but I never told her. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, she called me out. Put that damn thing up. Stop doing that. I mean, our energy is real.
Yeah.
It's absolutely real. And the emotion, which is the feminine in all of us, unbridled, allowed, accepted, revered, and honored, right? Is the what? The catalyst? I mean, the elixir, it's the antidote. It's like the real virus. It's like the antivirus, right? I mean, that's what powers it. So,
Well, I was reading that Morgan's recent post that I think you shared as well, of when the merge happens and the feminine can feel what it's like for the masculine, and the masculine can feel what it's like for
you're
the
talking about the one
feminine.
she wrote last night. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that was crazy.
where I'm at, or where I feel things. But I also find that if I say too much, if I share too much, I can feel his fear.
Yeah.
So I have.
I don't know how you avoid that. I mean, obviously we live together, and what you're talking about is real time going on here, but it does, you become, I said this to James on that show. So like, because we had a big deal happen like 10 days ago, which I've talked about. I won't talk about it, but but so this would have been, like say 5-6 days later, which would have been like a week ago. So we were laying down, and it's not unheard of that, I could feel the merging. Like I could be her, and this has gone through all the time we've been together. But this night was different because I could feel us organs merging. Everything was merging.
Yeah.
And then I looked for her, and she was gone. And then I could hear the laughter, like, you're the only one here. So if you have that level of merging, you're also going to have the higher sensitivities in terms of all the emotion, right?
Oh
The
yeah.
fear, the
I
love, the sadness,
yeah.
everything. So that is, and maybe the training we got as empaths
Mm.
to not take on, to
I don't know whether
observe.
I've learned that one yet.
Well, obviously you've had to some degree. I don't think any of us have perfected it,
Yeah.
but to observe and not to absorb
Mm.
everything. Well,
Yeah.
it's the wounded healer.
Yeah.
It's the wounded healer. I'm going to give it to me, give it to me, give it to me.
Mm.
Let me take your pain. And
This is some of the people laugh at me because it's almost like I've been pushing clients away. It's like,
yeah,
no, just let me work on myself. So I've been
yeah.
doing so much of that. But when I'm guided to work with someone, then I will. Usually there's a lesson. What I'm finding more and more now, there's a lesson. I mean, there's always has been, but there's a lesson for me to learn in every person that I interact with. And so it's, what is the lesson? And some of them recently have been quite biggies. I'm not going to go into them.
Go
But
figure that the big ones just come around now. I think
yeah.
everybody's in the same boat there.
Yeah. What I will explain is that what I'm recognizing is that we can be holding such a high vibration of light that things are not necessarily happening to us, they're happening to our loved ones, my cat, for instance, or things like that. And it's like, I can feel that there's something that must be in some way related to something I've done or I've connected with that is affecting my cat.
Okay, so what you're saying is that if I got you right, so what you're saying is that your field is expanding, or however you want to put it. Your sensitivity is expanding. Your field is expanding, so therefore you're feeling things that are outside of your physical body, but in your field.
No, slightly different to that, and you've just brought me onto something else, so I'll come back to that. What I was just, when you're talking about the field expansion, it's like I already feel like there's times that my energy field is almost like I can travel along the road and I can recognize when I've come within 4 miles of my twin's energy. So I can feel and shift and feel his love or his fear, or literally as a physical, almost force field around him.
You better be careful what you're doing when that's happening.
Yeah.
You don't want to run into his field when he's feeling all amorous and stuff. You might not be able to drive. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that's what part of the new Earth is people driving down the road having orgasms? They're just like, ah.
One of the things that I became very aware of, it's just gone from my head. What was it?
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, because I've been able to do this with other people whose energy, one of the Reiki masters who I used to work with, literally, I could feel her energy field within about 100 meters. And I felt like I walked into this energy of love. That's what I was going to say. So with him, when we split, I tried resisting and pushing his energy away, and literally the fall and drop in me in basically not accepting a part of myself. I was so low, was incredible. And it was one time I went to see a redwood tree near him, and I was like, oh God, what do I do? And I was speaking to the tree, and literally I could feel him pass by in this love. And in the end, I just went, right, I'm just going to let it back in. I'm just going to let him back in. And this energy of love just filled me. And it was like, I've been resisting this love at the time for over a year.
Two things. One is that, first of all, and it sounds crazy, like what you're talking about, but there are Well, you heard James talk about it. James talked about it last night. He said, Kirsty and I just went through our 50th divorce.
Yeah.
So there's always this, I don't know what you call it, because you really don't separate, but you do. Energetically, you do. You say, boom, this is me. I stand here. I don't know how to explain it, but because even that's changed. It's evolved. It's become something more multifaceted. But I think the other thing that's important to bring up to people is these relationships, first of all, they're not typical. Okay. They're not. They're not storybooks of old. They're more like storybook of new, but it's work. It's work. It's like going through the ascension as we all do, you know, with the doubts and the growth and the pain and all that, but you're doing it double time.
Yeah.
It's like you said, sometimes some things it's better, some things it's probably not. But it is, I think it is an important part of what's happening, because there's a lot of energetic balancing and an integration, and especially between the illusion of separation of the genders, right?
Yeah.
So this is good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, how did we find each other? How did you find?
I've just been watching you.
Did you send me a note? Or?
With Amanda Lawrence,
Uh-huh.
and I think that may be where I've connected and found you at some point.
Yeah.
I connect with Glastonbury tour every Sunday and connect with Amanda a lot. So I think that's where I've found you. But yeah, it was literally, you'd had this talk with this other lady, and the experience for me was like, I've just got to speak to you in person.
Right on.
So
we'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
I'd hang on longer, but I squeezed in a friend of mine, Maya Maticular, who's very cool, and we always have conversations like this. But I happened to see her the other day. I saw her putting something out, and I thought, oh, you know, I need to hit her up for August. And she's like, there's a lot of stuff up right now. I said, well, I guess I could squeeze you in, because July's packed, you know. But anyway, so we got a show in 17 minutes.
Yeah,
but I'd love to get together again sometime. We have so much we can talk about. It's a pleasure to meet you, and it's an honor to be sharing space with you, and your humility and your humor, and you know, your energy field as a whole. It's just, this is what it's all about. You know, no holds barred, raw, real, and all good. And orgasms while you're driving down the road. somebody said it happens to her at her desk. Same thing happened. Okay, you take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you guys in 15 minutes if you want to.